He walked into that wedding planning to disappear. But the woman sitting across from him, a billionaire who saw straight through every wall he'd built, refused to let him stay invisible. What happens when a single father who's spent a decade avoiding risk meets someone who won't let him hide anymore? When a man who's mastered survival finally has to choose whether to live? This is that story. Stay until the end and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this reaches. Because what happened next changed everything. The invitation sat on Liam Carter's kitchen counter for 3 weeks before he touched it. Cream-colored cardstock, gold lettering. The kind of wedding invitation that promised an open bar, a 5-course meal, and exactly the type of social minefield he'd been avoiding for the better part of a decade. Marcus had been asking, no, insisting, for months. You're my best man, Lee. You have to be there. Best man. The irony wasn't lost on him. Liam stared at the invitation now, Friday evening bleeding into that gray space before dinner, and felt the familiar weight settle into his chest. The kitchen was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of his daughter's music filtering through her bedroom door. 9 years old and already developing taste he didn't understand. Last week it was Taylor Swift. This week, something with more bass. You gonna actually open that, or just stare at it until it bursts into flames? He didn't turn around. Didn't need to. His daughter had a way of appearing exactly when his thoughts got too loud. Maybe the second one, he said. Sophie padded into the kitchen, barefoot, wearing the oversized hoodie she'd claimed from his closet months ago. It hung past her knees. She was growing too fast. He could see it in the way her wrists stuck out from the sleeves now, the way she had to push the hood back to see properly. Uncle Marcus called again, she said, pulling open the fridge. Said you're ignoring him. I'm not ignoring him. You sent 3 texts in 2 weeks. That's ignoring. Liam finally picked up the invitation, turning it over in his hands. The paper was expensive, heavy, the kind that made a statement about the people getting married and the life they were building together. I told him I'd think about it. That was 3 weeks ago, Dad. He glanced at her. Sophie had inherited her mother's eyes, dark, perceptive, uncomfortably direct. At 9, she already had a way of looking at him that made him feel transparent. When did you get so smart? He asked. I've always been smart. You're just slow at noticing. She grabbed an apple, closed the fridge with her hip. You should go. Yeah? Yeah, you never go anywhere. Liam set the invitation down, leaned against the counter. I go places. I go to work. I go to the grocery store. I went to your parent-teacher conference last month. Wow, living on the edge. Watch it. But she was smiling now, that crooked grin that made his chest ache in ways he couldn't name. Sophie had his stubbornness, his tendency to push, but she'd somehow avoided the parts of him that had calcified into fear. She still believed things were possible, still thought the world was a place worth engaging with. He envied that. It's just a wedding, she said, softer now. A few hours. You don't even have to stay the whole time. Sophie, Uncle Marcus is your best friend. You were there when he met Rachel. You should be there for this. She wasn't wrong. Marcus had been there through everything. The divorce, the early years of single parenting when Liam had no idea what he was doing, the countless nights when panic felt like a permanent condition. Marcus never judged, never pushed, just showed up. And now Marcus was asking for one thing, one night. All right, Liam said quietly. I'll go. Sophie's face lit up. Really? Really? But I'm not staying long. In and out. Show my face, congratulate them, leave. That's fine. That's good. She bit into her apple, chewed thoughtfully. You should wear the blue shirt. The one Aunt Rachel said makes you look less dead inside. She did not say that. She absolutely said that. Liam shook his head, but he was smiling despite himself. Go finish your homework. Already done. But she left anyway, apple in hand, hoodie dragging behind her like a cape. Alone again, Liam picked up the invitation one more time. Read the details he'd already memorized. Location, time, dress code. Black tie optional. He'd have to dig out the suit he hadn't worn since Sophie's school thing last year. Make sure it still fit. Make sure he still fit into the kind of life where weddings happened and people celebrated and the future felt like something worth building toward. He set the invitation on the counter, face down. 3 days, he told himself. You can survive 3 days.
The
The wedding was in Newport. 2 hours north, ocean views, the kind of venue that appeared in magazines with titles like Coastal Elegance and price tags that made Liam's stomach turn. Marcus had offered to cover the hotel room. Come on, Lee, it's nothing. Just stay the night. Enjoy yourself. But Liam had refused. Drive up, show face, drive home. Simple. Controlled. He'd mapped out the route twice, knew exactly how long it would take, where he'd park, which exits he could use if things got overwhelming. Sophie called it his escape artist routine. She wasn't entirely wrong. Saturday arrived too quickly. Liam spent the morning doing normal things, grocery shopping, laundry, fixing the loose handle on Sophie's bedroom door. Tasks that required hands and focus and kept his mind from spiraling into all the reasons this was a terrible idea. By noon, he'd run out of tasks. Sophie was at her friend Emma's house for a sleepover. Rachel, Marcus's soon-to-be wife, had arranged it, insisted on it. You need a night off, Liam. When's the last time you did something for yourself? He couldn't remember. The drive north was quiet. Radio off, windows cracked, late September air carrying that first hint of autumn. The highway stretched out, familiar and monotonous, and Liam let his mind empty into the rhythm of driving. This was manageable. A few hours, shake some hands, smile, leave, no complications. He arrived at the venue 20 minutes early, a refurbished estate overlooking the water, all white columns and manicured gardens and string lights that would look magical once the sun set. Expensive cars lined the circular drive. Liam parked his 10-year-old Civic at the far end, suddenly conscious of how out of place it looked next to the Teslas and BMWs. He sat in the car for 5 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. You don't have to do this. But he did. For Marcus. For the friendship that had kept him tethered when everything else fell apart. Liam checked his reflection in the rear-view mirror. The blue shirt Sophie had insisted on. Dark slacks. His hair needed a cut, but it was passable. He looked tired. He always looked tired, but at least he looked presentable. He got out of the car. The ceremony was outside, rows of white chairs facing an arbor draped in flowers he couldn't name. Classical music played from hidden speakers. People mingled in clusters, women in elegant dresses, men in suits that fit properly, everyone looking comfortable in this world of celebration and commitment. Liam found a seat in the back row, close to the aisle, easy exit. He watched people arrive, greet each other, embrace like they'd known each other forever. Probably had. Marcus came from money, not obscene wealth, but enough that weddings like this were normal, expected. These were his people. Liam had met some of them over the years, but he'd never quite fit. Never quite managed the ease they seemed to carry, the assumption that the world was a place designed for their comfort. The ceremony started. Marcus stood at the altar, looking nervous and happy in equal measure. Rachel appeared, walked down the aisle with her father, and the crowd made those soft sounds people make at weddings, sighs and whispers, and the rustle of tissues being pulled from purses. Liam watched it all from a distance, feeling both present and separate, like watching a movie about other people's lives. They said their vows. Marcus's voice cracked on the word forever. Rachel laughed through tears. The officiant pronounced them married, and everyone applauded. Simple, beautiful, everything a wedding should be. Liam felt nothing but a hollow ache where joy should have been. The reception was inside, a ballroom with floor-to-ceiling windows, crystal chandeliers, tables arranged in careful symmetry. A band played soft jazz. Waitstaff circulated with trays of champagne and appetizers that looked too artistic to eat. Liam found his name on the seating chart. Table 12. Back corner, near the service entrance. Perfect. He made his way through the crowd, dodging conversations, keeping his head down. Found his table, half empty, assigned to Marcus's scattered college friends and distant cousins who probably wouldn't show until later. Good. He could sit, have a drink, wait an appropriate amount of time, then slip out. He pulled out his chair. Is this seat taken? The voice made him pause. Not because it was loud or demanding, but because it carried a quiet certainty that made ignoring it impossible. Liam looked up. The woman standing across from him was maybe 30, dressed in something dark and elegant that probably cost more than his car payment. Dark hair pulled back, sharp eyes that seemed to catalog everything in an instant. She wasn't smiling, but she wasn't cold either, just observing. No, Liam said. All yours. She sat with the kind of practiced grace that suggested she'd sat at 1,000 tables like this. Set her small clutch down, folded her hands, then looked directly at him. "You're planning to leave early," she said. It wasn't a question. Liam blinked. "Excuse me?" "You chose the table farthest from the head table. You're sitting closest to the exit. Your jacket is on the back of your chair instead of checked with coat service, which means you want quick access." She tilted her head slightly. "You've looked at the door 6 times since you sat down." He stared at her. "Who are you?" "Ava Sinclair." She extended a hand across the table. "And you're Liam Carter, Marcus's best friend, the one he talks about constantly but who never actually shows up." Her handshake was firm, brief, professional. "He told you about me?" Liam asked, pulling his hand back. "He mentioned you're difficult to pin down, private, that you've turned down every invitation he's extended for the last 3 years." Ava leaned back slightly. "I'm curious what made tonight different." Liam felt off balance, like he'd walked into a conversation already in progress. "I'm his best man. Kind of hard to skip that." "Plenty of people skip obligations harder than that." "I'm not plenty of people." "Clearly." They sat in silence for a moment. Music filtered through the room, something slow and instrumental. Around them, guests laughed, clinked glasses, moved between tables. Normal wedding sounds. But at table 12, the air felt strangely still. "How do you know Marcus?" Liam asked, because it seemed like the thing to say. "Rachel and I went to business school together. She's one of the few people I trust completely." Ava glanced around the room, her expression unreadable. "This isn't usually my scene either." "No? I prefer things with clear objectives. Weddings are messy, emotional, too many variables." Liam found himself almost smiling. "That's one way to put it. How would you put it?" He considered that. Reminders. Of what? Things that didn't work out. Ava studied him with those sharp, assessing eyes. Not judging, exactly. Just reading. Like she could see past the careful walls he'd spent years constructing. "You were married," she said quietly. It wasn't a question, but Liam answered anyway. "Once. Long time ago." "How long?" "She left when our daughter was 6 months old." Ava's expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture, a slight softening around the eyes. "That's young." "Yeah." "How old is your daughter now?" 9. "So you've been doing this alone for a while." "Doing what?" "Everything." The word landed heavy. Liam looked away toward the dance floor where couples were beginning to sway to something slow and romantic. He felt exposed, like Ava had reached into his chest and pulled out the central truth he never said aloud. "You get used to it," he said finally. "Do you?" He didn't answer. A waiter appeared, offering champagne. Ava took a glass. Liam shook his head. He needed to stay sharp, stay ready to leave. "You don't drink?" Ava asked. "Not usually." "Control thing?" "Safety thing." She nodded like that made perfect sense, sipped her champagne, set it down. "I respect that," she said. "Most people mistake control for weakness. They don't understand it's often the opposite." Liam looked at her again, really looked. There was something about Ava Sinclair that felt familiar, though they'd never met. A kind of careful competence. The way she held herself suggested someone who'd built something significant and protected it fiercely. "What do you do?" he asked. "For work. I run a company, tech, infrastructure. Things most people don't think about until they stop working." Sounds complicated. It is, but I prefer complicated. Simple things bore me. "Lucky you." Ava smiled, small, brief, but genuine. "You don't believe in luck?" "No. Neither do I." The band shifted into something livelier. People moved toward the dance floor. Liam watched Marcus and Rachel take center stage, their first dance as a married couple. Marcus looked nervous, stepping on Rachel's feet twice in the first minute. Rachel laughed, pulled him closer. They swayed together, off rhythm and perfect. "They're good together," Ava said. "Yeah, they are. Does that bother you?" Liam glanced at her. "Why would it bother me?" "Because you don't believe in it anymore. The fairy tale. The happily ever after." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She was right, and that irritated him. Liam shifted in his seat, suddenly aware of how long he'd been sitting, how exposed he felt. This was supposed to be simple. Show up, blend in, leave. He wasn't supposed to be having actual conversations with people who saw too much. "I should probably," he started. "Stay," Ava said, cutting him off. Not demanding, just suggesting. "You came all this way. Marcus would notice if you left now. He's busy. He's looking over here right now." Liam followed her gaze. Sure enough, Marcus was watching from the dance floor, trying to be subtle about it, failing miserably. When their eyes met, Marcus gave a small wave, a hopeful smile. Liam waved back. "See?" Ava said. "You matter to him. The least you can do is stay through dinner." She was right. Again. Liam settled back in his chair, resigned. "Fine, through dinner." "Good." They sat quietly as the first dance ended, and others joined the floor. Conversation buzzed around them, table 12 filling up now with guests who'd been mingling, taking photos, avoiding their assigned seats until the last possible moment. A man in his 50s sat down, introduced himself as someone's cousin. A younger couple settled across from them, already deep in conversation about real estate markets. The table dynamics shifted, absorbed into the larger rhythm of the reception. But Liam stayed aware of Ava beside him, the way she listened more than she spoke, the way she seemed to command space without demanding it. Dinner was served, courses that arrived in careful succession, each more elaborate than the last. Liam ate mechanically, tasting nothing. Around him people laughed, told stories, drank too much too fast. Normal wedding behavior. He felt like an anthropologist observing a culture he'd once belonged to but could no longer access. Halfway through the main course, Ava leaned closer. "You're doing that thing again." "What thing?" "Disappearing while sitting perfectly still." Liam set down his fork. "I'm here, aren't I?" "Physically, but you're somewhere else entirely." She paused. "Where do you go?" "Nowhere." "Everyone goes somewhere." He looked at her, this woman who'd somehow slipped past every defense he had. "Why do you care?" "Because," Ava said simply, "I recognize it. That look. I see it every time I look in a mirror." Something in her voice made Liam pause. Behind the sharp observation and careful control, there was something softer, something lonely. "You do this too?" he asked. "The disappearing thing?" "Different version, same effect." She picked up her water glass, stared into it. "I built a company from nothing. Spent 15 years focused on growth, market share, quarterly projections. Made a lot of money. Made a lot of sacrifices." "It doesn't sound like a bad life." "It's not, but it's not a full life either." She set the glass down. "Success is easy when you stop wanting things that can't be measured in spreadsheets." Liam understood that more than he wanted to admit. The speeches started after dinner. Marcus's brother, slurring slightly, told embarrassing childhood stories. Rachel's maid of honor cried through her entire speech. Laughter and applause rippled through the room in waves. Then Marcus stood up. "Before we cut the cake," he said, voice carrying across the ballroom, "I want to say something about my best man." Liam's stomach dropped. "Liam Carter," Marcus continued, looking directly at him now, "is the most stubborn, private, impossible-to-reach person I know. Getting him here tonight required months of persistence and mild threats." Scattered laughter from people who knew. "But he's also the best man I know. When my life fell apart in college, Liam was there. When I couldn't figure out what to do with myself, he helped me find direction. And when I met Rachel," Marcus's voice cracked slightly, "when I told him I thought I'd found the one, He's the person who believed me, even when he didn't believe in it for himself anymore. The room had gone quiet. Liam felt every eye turn toward him. So, Liam, Marcus raised his glass. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for showing me that strength doesn't always look like what we expect. The crowd raised their glasses. Applause filled the space. Liam couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The attention pressed down like physical weight. Then Ava's hand touched his arm, gentle, grounding. Look at me, she said quietly. He did. Her eyes were steady, calm, like an anchor in a current trying to pull him under. Breathe, she said. Just breathe. He did. The moment passed, the applause faded. Marcus sat back down, wiping his eyes. The room returned to normal conversation, but Liam's hands were shaking. You okay? Ava asked, hand still on his arm. He stood abruptly. I need air. He walked quickly toward the doors, barely registering the people he passed. Outside, the evening had cooled. The ocean stretched dark and infinite beyond the gardens. Liam walked until he found a bench, sat heavily, head in his hands. He'd made it. Through the ceremony, through dinner, through being seen. He should feel relieved. Instead, he felt raw, exposed, like someone had reached in and touched the parts of himself he kept locked away. Footsteps approached. He didn't look up. Want company? Ava's voice. Or should I leave you alone? I don't know, Liam said honestly. She sat anyway. Quiet for a long moment. What Marcus said, she began slowly, about strength not looking like what we expect. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I think he does. Liam looked up. Ava was watching the ocean, her expression thoughtful. You think surviving makes you strong? Liam asked, harsher than he intended. I didn't choose this, any of it. My wife left. I had a baby. I did what I had to do because there wasn't another option. That's not strength. That's just happening. And you've been happening for 9 years. Yeah, raising a daughter, working, building a life, a small life, a safe life, a deliberate life. Ava turned to face him. Do you know how rare that is? Most people stumble through life reacting to everything, claiming they're going with the flow, when really they're just avoiding decisions. You made a decision. You chose your daughter over everything else. You chose stability over possibility. That takes more strength than most people ever find. Or it's just fear dressed up as responsibility. Maybe. But maybe those things aren't as different as you think. They sat in silence. The music from the reception drifted out, muffled and distant. Why are you out here? Liam asked finally. You don't have to babysit me. I'm not babysitting you. I'm avoiding small talk with people I barely know. Ava smiled slightly. You're more interesting than another conversation about market trends or who bought property where. I'm not interesting. You're wrong about that. Liam shook his head. You don't know me. I know you showed up tonight even though everything in you wanted to run. I know you sat at a table full of strangers and tried your best. I know Marcus loves you enough to call you out in front of 200 people, which means you've done something worth remembering. She paused. That's more than most people I know. You're being generous. I'm being honest. I don't do generous. Despite everything, Liam almost smiled. There was something disarming about Ava's directness. No games, no pretense, just observation and truth. Why are you really here, Yez? He asked. At this wedding, if it's not your scene. Because Rachel asked, and because sometimes you show up for people even when it's uncomfortable. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Ava stood, brushed off her dress. Come on, they're about to cut the cake. You've made it this far. Might as well see it through. Liam looked up at her. This woman he'd met 3 hours ago, who somehow felt like someone he'd known much longer. Through the cake? He asked. Through the cake. Then you can leave with a clear conscience. He stood, followed her back inside. The ballroom was louder now, loosened by alcohol and music. The DJ had taken over from the band, playing something with actual bass. People crowded the dance floor, inhibitions falling away. Marcus and Rachel stood by an elaborate 3-tier cake, laughing as they argued about the best way to cut it. They settled on doing it together, their hands overlapping on the knife. The crowd counted down. Flashes went off. The cake was cut. Applause erupted. "See?" Ava said, standing beside Liam. "Not so bad?" "Not so bad," he echoed. The night shifted into dancing. The DJ played crowd pleasers, songs everyone knew, songs that made people forget themselves. The dance floor packed tight. Liam watched from the sidelines, ready to make his exit. He'd done his duty, stayed through dinner, through speeches, through cake. Marcus had seen him, acknowledged him. Mission accomplished. He was reaching for his jacket when Ava appeared beside him again. "One dance?" she said. "What?" "One dance, then you can leave." "I don't dance." "Neither do I, so we'll be terrible together." She extended her hand. "Come on. The DJ just played September. You can't refuse September. Watch me." But she was already pulling him toward the floor, and somehow, impossibly, Liam let her. They found a spot near the edge, away from the worst of the crowd. Ava put one hand on his shoulder, the other in his palm. Liam stood rigid, completely unsure what to do. "Relax," she said. "I promise not to judge your dancing." "That's a lie." "Okay, yes, but I'll judge quietly." They started moving, barely, awkwardly, completely out of sync with the music or each other. Liam stepped on her foot twice in the first 30 seconds. "Sorry," he muttered. "It's fine. Try looking at me instead of your feet." He did. Met her eyes. Found something there that felt both challenging and gentle. "There," Ava said. "Better." They swayed more than danced, finding something close to rhythm. Around them, people spun and laughed and lost themselves in the music. But in their small space, Liam felt strangely still. Present. "This isn't so terrible," Ava said. "It's pretty terrible. But you're still here." She was right, again. The song ended. Another started, something slower, softer. Most of the crowd cleared off, leaving just the couples who wanted an excuse to hold each other. Liam should have left then, should have thanked Ava, made his exit, driven home. But he didn't. He stayed. Kept swaying, kept holding on. And for the first time in years, he wasn't planning his escape. He was just there. "Can I ask you something?" Ava said quietly. "Sure." "When's the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not because you had to, not because it was responsible, just because some part of you wanted it." Liam thought about that, came up empty. "I don't remember," he said finally. "That's sad. That's life. It doesn't have to be." The song ended. The DJ said something about taking a break, getting drinks, keeping the energy up. People dispersed toward the bar. Liam and Ava stood there, hands still loosely connected. "I should go," Liam said, not moving. "You should." "My daughter. She's at a sleepover, but you should check on her. Make sure she's okay. Be responsible." Ava smiled. "Like you always are." She let go of his hand. Liam felt the absence like cold air. "Thank you," he said. "For tonight. I don't know. Making it bearable." "You made it bearable, Liam. I just sat at your table." Still. They stood in the middle of the emptying dance floor, the night winding down around them. "If you ever want to not disappear," Ava said, pulling a card from her clutch, "you can reach me here." She pressed it into his palm. Business card. Simple. Elegant. Just her name and a phone number. "I'm not," Liam started. "You're not looking for anything. I know. Neither am I." She stepped back. "But sometimes it's nice to talk to someone who understands what it's like. That's all." She walked away then, disappeared into the crowd still mingling near the bar. Liam looked down at the card. Ava Sinclair. 10 digits that could lead to... what? Nothing. Everything. Something he wasn't ready for. He should throw it away. He put it in his wallet. Found Marcus near the head table, talking with Rachel's parents. When Marcus saw him, his whole face lit up. "You stayed!" Marcus pulled him into a hug, slightly drunk, completely sincere. "I didn't think you would. I said I'd be here." "I know, but you usually disappear." Like a ghost. A really punctual ghost. Marcus pulled back, looked at him seriously. Thank you, Lee. Really, it meant a lot, having you here. Congratulations, Liam said. Both of you, you deserve this. We'll have you over soon, you and Sophie. Rachel wants to get to know her better. Yeah, that'd be good. They talked for a few more minutes, normal things, easy things, and then Liam finally made his exit. He shook hands, accepted hugs from people he barely knew, and walked out into the night. The drive home was quiet. Dark highway, no traffic, just Liam and his thoughts and the faint memory of Ava's hand in his. He got home after midnight. The house was empty, waiting. He checked his phone, text from Sophie's friend's mom saying everything was fine, the girls were asleep. Liam stood in his kitchen, still wearing the blue shirt, and felt the night settle into his bones. Something had shifted. He couldn't name it, couldn't explain it. But for the first time in years, the quiet didn't feel quite so heavy. He pulled out Ava's card, stared at it, then put it on the counter next to his keys, just in case. The card stayed on his counter for 2 days. Liam walked past it every morning, every evening, acknowledged its existence the way you acknowledge a splinter you're not quite ready to remove. Sunday came and went. Monday arrived with work emails and Sophie's soccer practice and the usual rhythm of life that didn't leave room for thinking about billionaires who saw too much. Sophie noticed it Tuesday morning, picking it up while Liam made breakfast. Ava Sinclair, she read aloud. Who's that? Someone I met at the wedding. A woman? Yes, a woman. Sophie set the card down carefully, like it might explode. You met a woman and got her number? It's not like that. What's it like? Liam cracked eggs into a pan, kept his eyes on the stove. She was sitting at my table. We talked. She gave me her card in case I wanted to. I don't know, network or something. Network. Sophie made the word sound ridiculous. Dad, you don't network. You barely people. I people fine. You went to 1 wedding in 3 years. That's not peopling fine. He plated the eggs, set them in front of her. Eat your breakfast. But Sophie was already pulling out her phone, typing. Ava Sinclair, let me see who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with anyone. Oh my... Sophie's eyes went wide. Dad. Dad. She's like, actually famous. Tech entrepreneur. Forbes 30 under 30. Net worth estimated at... She scrolled. Holy crap, is this real? Language. She's a billionaire. An actual billionaire gave you her number and you just left it on the counter like a grocery receipt? Liam sat down across from her. It's not a big deal. It's the biggest deal. This is the most interesting thing that's happened to you in forever. I have plenty of interesting things happen. Name one from the last year. He thought. Came up empty. I helped Mrs. Chen fix her porch. That's carpentry, not interesting. Sophie looked at the card again. Then at him. You should call her. Why would I call her? Because she gave you her number. Because you clearly made an impression. Because... Sophie paused, her voice going softer. Because you never do anything for yourself, Dad. Ever. And maybe this time you should. Liam looked at his daughter, 9 years old and somehow wiser than he'd ever been. When had that happened? When had she started seeing him so clearly? I'll think about it, he said. You always say that. And I always mean it. But you never actually do it. She wasn't wrong. Sophie finished her breakfast, grabbed her backpack, headed for the door, paused before leaving. The eggs were good, she said. And you should call her, even if it's scary. Then she was gone, off to catch the bus, leaving Liam alone with his coffee and a business card that felt heavier than it should. He picked it up, turned it over. Nothing on the back except the faint texture of expensive paper. What would he even say? Hi, we met at a wedding. You made me dance. I've spent 3 days thinking about it. That sounded desperate. Pathetic. He set the card back down. Work called. Emails needed answering. Life kept moving. But the card stayed exactly where it was. Wednesday brought rain. The kind of gray, persistent drizzle that made everything feel slower, heavier. Liam spent the morning at his desk. He worked from home, consulting for construction firms, reviewing plans, catching errors before they became expensive mistakes. It was good work. Steady, safe. Boring as hell, if he was honest. Lunch came and went. The card sat visible in his peripheral vision, accusatory. Around 2 in the afternoon, his phone rang. Marcus. Tell me you didn't immediately throw away Ava's number, Marcus said without preamble. Hello to you too. Liam, tell me. I didn't throw it away. But you haven't called her. How do you... Because Ava texted Rachel asking if you were always this stubborn or if she'd somehow offended you. Liam closed his laptop. She did not say that. Okay, no, but she did ask about you, which is basically the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Lee, listen to me. Ava Sinclair does not give out her personal number, ever. Rachel's known her for 6 years and just got it last month. The fact that she gave it to you means something. It means she was being polite. It means she's interested. In what? I'm a single dad who works from home and whose idea of excitement is finishing a project under budget. What could possibly interest her? Marcus was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost its teasing edge. Maybe the fact that you're real. Maybe the fact that you're not trying to impress her or use her or get something from her. Maybe, and I know this is a crazy thought, maybe she just likes talking to you. Liam stared out the window at the rain. I wouldn't know what to say. Start with hello, move to how are you? The rest figures itself out. I'm not good at this. Nobody's good at this. We're all just making it up as we go. After they hung up, Liam sat for a long time. The rain kept falling. The house stayed quiet. And the card sat there, waiting. He picked up his phone, put it down, picked it up again. This was ridiculous. He was a grown man. He could send a simple text message. He typed, Hi, this is Liam Carter, from the wedding. Just wanted to say thank you for making the evening less terrible than expected. Read it, deleted it, too casual. Tried again. Hello, Ms. Sinclair, Liam Carter here. I wanted to express my appreciation for your company at Marcus and Rachel's wedding. Deleted, too formal. Third attempt. Hey, Liam here, thanks for Saturday. Hope you made it home okay. He stared at it for 5 minutes, then hit send before he could overthink it further. The message went through, delivered, read. 3 dots appeared immediately. Liam's heart rate picked up. The response came through. I was beginning to think you'd thrown my card in the ocean on your drive home. Despite himself, Liam smiled. He typed back, thought about it, decided against littering. Environmental consciousness, attractive quality. Is that what we're calling cowardice now? I'd call it caution. There's a difference. Liam looked at those words, caution. Not fear, not weakness, just caution. How was the rest of the wedding? He asked. Long. I left around midnight. How was your drive? Quiet. Good thinking time. Dangerous thing. Too much thinking. Tell me about it. A pause, then, are you free Friday afternoon? Liam's thumb hovered over the keyboard. Friday. 3 days away. He had work, but nothing that couldn't be moved. Sophie had school, then her friend Emma again. He could do Friday. Should he do Friday? Depends, he typed. What did you have in mind? Coffee. Somewhere public and boring so you don't feel trapped. You pick the place. He almost laughed. She really did see right through him. There's a place called Miller's, downtown. Nothing fancy. Perfect. 2 o'clock? 2 works. Good. See you then, Liam Carter. He set the phone down, feeling like he'd just committed to something he couldn't take back, which was stupid. It was coffee. People had coffee all the time. It didn't mean anything, except it did. Friday arrived faster than it should have. Liam spent Thursday night second-guessing everything. What did you wear to coffee with a billionaire? The blue shirt felt too obvious, jeans too casual, a suit too desperate. He settled on dark pants and a simple gray sweater, looked in the mirror, looked like himself, which would have to be enough. Sophie caught him checking his reflection. You're nervous, she observed. I'm not nervous. You've checked your hair 3 times. I'm making sure it doesn't look stupid. It always looks like that, Dad. That's just your hair. Thanks. Really helpful. But Sophie was grinning now, that knowing look that made her seem older than 9. She must be special if you're this weird about it. I'm not weird about it. You're super weird about it. It's kind of cute. Liam grabbed his jacket. I'm leaving before you start giving me dating advice. Use protection, Sophie called after him, laughing. You don't even know what that means. I go to public school, Dad. I know things. He left before the conversation could get worse, but he was smiling despite himself. Miller's was a small place tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner, the kind of coffee shop that had been there forever and would probably outlast everything around it. Liam arrived 10 minutes early, ordered black coffee, found a table near the window, then waited. 2 o'clock came and went. 2:05, 2:08. She wasn't coming. Of course she wasn't. She'd probably realized how absurd this was. Billionaire tech CEO having coffee with a single dad whose biggest accomplishment was keeping a 9-year-old alive and mostly happy. At 2:12, the door opened. Ava walked in, and Liam felt something in his chest shift. She wore jeans and a simple black jacket, her hair down, looking nothing like the polished woman from the wedding. She looked normal, approachable, beautiful. She spotted him, smiled, walked over. Sorry I'm late, she said, sitting down across from him. Conference call ran over. CEO of a partner company who doesn't understand that brief update means less than 30 minutes. It's fine, I just got here. You're a terrible liar. Your coffee's half gone. Caught. Old habit, Liam admitted. Always early. Control thing? That obvious? Takes one to know one. Ava flagged down the barista, ordered something complicated with oat milk and extra foam. I'm pathologically punctual normally. Today was an exception. Noted. They sat for a moment in comfortable silence. The coffee shop hummed around them. Quiet conversations, the hiss of the espresso machine, indie music playing at a volume just below intrusive. So, Ava said finally, we're doing this. Apparently. Having coffee, like normal people. Is that what this is? I'm not sure yet. She leaned back, studied him. How was your week? Same as always, work, parenting, the usual chaos. What kind of work? Construction consulting. I review plans, catch problems before they become expensive. So you're a professional pessimist. I prefer realist. There's that caution again. Her coffee arrived. She wrapped both hands around the mug. What kind of problems do you catch? Mostly structural issues, load-bearing walls that aren't actually bearing anything, foundations that'll sink, electrical plans that violate code, the boring stuff that keeps buildings from falling down. Doesn't sound boring, sounds important. It pays the bills, but it doesn't excite you. Liam shifted. Excitement isn't really the goal. What is? Stability, predictability, making sure my daughter has what she needs. Ava nodded slowly. And what do you need? No one had asked him that in years. Maybe ever. I don't think about it much, he said finally. Why not? Because thinking about what you need when you can't have it is just torture. The words came out harsher than he intended. Ava didn't flinch. Fair, she said quietly. I understand that more than you'd think. Do you? You think because I have money, I don't know what it's like to want something I can't have? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Money solves a lot of problems, Liam, but it doesn't solve loneliness. It doesn't make people see you instead of your bank account. It doesn't give you back the years you spent building something instead of building relationships. Liam looked at her, really looked, saw past the polish and confidence to something raw underneath. What did you sacrifice? He asked. Everything that mattered, friends, family time, any chance at a normal relationship. I was 23 when I started my company. 30 now. 7 years of nothing but work. She traced the rim of her mug. I told myself it would be worth it, that once I reached a certain point, I could slow down, focus on other things. But there's always another goal, another milestone. Success is addictive. So why slow down now? Because I looked around 6 months ago and realized I'd built an empire and furnished it with absolutely nothing. She met his eyes. What's the point of having everything if you have no one to share it with? The honesty disarmed him. Liam set down his coffee. I get that, he said. Different reasons, same result. I built a life around my daughter, made every decision based on what was safe for her. And it worked. She's happy, healthy, doing well in school. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that I'm supposed to be a person too, not just a parent. Do you regret it? No, never. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. He paused. But sometimes I wonder what it would be like to want something just for myself. Like what? I don't know. That's the problem. Ava smiled. We're quite a pair, aren't we? The workaholic and the single dad. Both stuck in lives we chose but aren't sure we want anymore. When you put it that way, it sounds depressing. Or honest. They talked for 2 hours. The conversation flowed easier than it should have. Work and parenting and the small disappointments that accumulate into a life you didn't quite plan. Ava told him about her company, the early years of sleeping in the office, the late nights fueled by cheap pizza and cheaper coffee. Liam told her about Sophie's first steps, her first day of school, the million tiny moments that made up a childhood. She sounds incredible, Ava said. She is. Smarter than me, funnier than me, better than me in basically every way. She got lucky with her dad. I don't know about that. I do. Ava checked her phone, frowned. I have a 4 o'clock I can't miss, but this was... Yeah, Liam said. It was. They stood, walked outside together. The afternoon had turned colder, clouds threatening rain again. Can we do this again? Ava asked. Liam felt that familiar pull, the urge to say no, to protect himself, to retreat back into safety. But something else pushed back, something that felt like possibility. Yeah, he said. We can do this again. Next week? Next week. Ava smiled, genuine, warm, and walked away toward a car that probably cost more than his annual salary. Liam watched her go, then headed to his own car, feeling lighter than he had in months. His phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. How'd it go? He typed back, good, really good. 3 dots. Then, details, Dad, I need details. Later, love you. Love you too. But seriously, I want details. He drove home through the gray afternoon, replaying the conversation, trying to understand what was happening. This felt different from anything he'd experienced before. Not the desperate chemistry of his early 20s, not the cautious hope of his brief marriage. Something else. Something steady. Something terrifying. The next week followed a pattern. Text messages throughout the day. Nothing profound, just small observations and bad jokes, and the kind of conversation that made hours at a desk feel less isolating. Ava was funny, Liam discovered. Dry and sharp and willing to laugh at herself. She sent him articles about construction disasters with subject lines like, your nightmare fuel for the day. He sent back tech company scandals with, your people are worse than mine. They met again the following Friday. Different coffee shop, same easy rhythm. Then the Friday after that. It became routine, something Liam looked forward to, planned around, thought about more than he wanted to admit. Sophie noticed the change in him. You smile at your phone now, she said one evening, watching him text. It's weird. I do not. You literally just smiled at your phone. Liam set it down. Ava sent a funny meme. A meme. You're learning memes now, who are you? Same person I've always been. No, Sophie said. Softer now. You're different. Better different. Less. She searched for the word. Less gray. I was gray? Yeah. Like everything was just fine. Not good, not bad, just fine. But lately you seem actually happy. The observation sat heavy. Had he really been that transparent? That diminished? I'm working on it, he said quietly. Good. You deserve to be happy, Dad. That night after Sophie was asleep, Liam sat in his kitchen with a beer he wasn't drinking and thought about happiness. What did that even mean anymore? He'd spent so long focusing on survival, on providing, on maintaining stability that he'd forgotten what it felt like to want something beyond the next day. But he wanted this. Whatever this was with Ava, he wanted more of it. The realization scared him. Week 5 brought a shift. They met at a park this time, Ava's suggestion. The weather had turned properly cold, autumn settling in with serious intent. She showed up in running gear, surprising him. "I run when I need to think," she explained. "Thought you might want to join me." "I don't run." "Perfect. Neither do I, really. We can suffer together." They ran, slowly, awkwardly, stopping frequently to catch their breath. It was terrible and perfect. Ava kept pace with him, even though she clearly could have gone faster. They talked in gasps between breaths. "Why?" Gasp. "Did I agree?" Gasp. "To this?" "Because..." Gasp. "You wanted..." Gasp. "To try something new." "I hate..." Gasp. "New things. Liar." By the end, they were both wrecked, sat on a bench, sweating, laughing at how out of shape they both were. "That was awful," Liam said. "The worst." "Same time next week?" Ava grinned. "Absolutely." The running became part of it. Every week they'd meet, attempt to not die, then get coffee after. The routine settled in, comfortable and steady. Liam found himself thinking less about what could go wrong and more about what was actually happening, which is when Ava said the thing that changed everything. They were sitting, post-run, coffee in hand, when she looked at him with that direct gaze he'd come to recognize. "I want to meet her," Ava said. Liam's stomach dropped. "Meet who?" "Sophie, your daughter, the person you talk about constantly and clearly adore. I don't know if that's... I'm not asking to be her mom, Liam. I'm asking to meet the most important person in your life. If we're going to keep doing this, whatever this is, then I want to know her." The logic was sound. The terror was real. "She's 9, Liam said. "Kids get attached. If it doesn't work out, we handle it like adults. But you can't protect her from every possible hurt, Liam. Life doesn't work that way. I can try. And you'll suffocate her in the process." The words hit like cold water, true and uncomfortable. "What if she doesn't like you?" he asked. "Then we have a problem. But I'm pretty likable when I want to be." "What if you don't like her?" "Impossible. She's half you." Liam looked at this woman who'd somehow become essential to his weeks, his days, his thoughts. The woman who saw through every defense and stayed anyway. "Okay," he said finally. "Okay, but somewhere casual, low pressure." "Arcade?" Ava suggested. "Pizza? I can pretend to be terrible at skee-ball. You don't have to pretend anything. I know, but it might be fun. But..." They planned it for the following Saturday. Liam spent the entire week second-guessing the decision. Sophie, meanwhile, researched Ava obsessively. "She started her first company at 23, Sophie read from her tablet. "Sold it at 26 for like $50 million. Then started her current company. Forbes called her the most innovative mind in infrastructure tech. Dad, she's kind of a genius. Don't be weird about it." "I'm going to be so weird about it." Sophie. "Kidding, mostly." She looked up. "Are you dating her?" The question caught him off guard. I don't know what we are." "But you like her." "Yeah, I like her." Like her?" "We're not in middle school, Soph. Answer the question." Liam sat down across from his daughter. "Yes, I like her, but it's complicated. We're still figuring it out." "Does she like you?" "I think so." "Then what's complicated?" If only it were that simple. Saturday arrived too fast. They met at an arcade pizza place, loud, chaotic, filled with kids and flashing lights, and the electronic sounds of games. Exactly the kind of place that made real conversation impossible. Perfect for a first meeting. Ava arrived exactly on time, dressed down in jeans and a sweater, looking nervous for the first time since Liam had met her. Sophie spotted her immediately, stood up straight, extended her hand. "Miss Sinclair, it's nice to meet you." Ava shook her hand, smiling. "Ava, please. Miss Sinclair makes me feel ancient." "You're 30. That's not ancient. That's prime adult years." "I like you already." They got pizza, basic cheese, nothing fancy, and found a booth. The conversation started stiff, formal, both Sophie and Ava clearly trying too hard. Liam watched, ready to intervene, to smooth things over. Then Ava said something about a tech disaster at her company, and Sophie laughed, really laughed, and the tension broke. They talked about school, about games, about nothing important. After pizza, they hit the arcade. Ava proved to be genuinely terrible at skee-ball. Sophie beat her by 40 points. "I thought you were supposed to be good at everything," Sophie teased. "I'm good at making money and yelling at engineers. Skee-ball was not part of my training." "Want me to teach you?" "Please." Liam watched them together, Sophie showing Ava the proper technique, Ava listening intently, both of them laughing when the balls still went everywhere except the target. Something in his chest eased. This could work. Maybe. Hours passed. The arcade got louder, more crowded. Eventually, they retreated outside, the evening air sharp and cold. "That was fun," Sophie said, bouncing slightly. "Can we do it again?" Ava looked at Liam, then back to Sophie. "I'd like that, if your dad's okay with it." "Dad?" He was watching them, his daughter and this woman who'd somehow slipped past every wall he'd built. Two people who shouldn't fit together, but somehow did. "Yeah," he said, "we can do it again." Sophie hugged Ava, spontaneous, genuine, then ran ahead to the car. Liam and Ava walked slower, letting distance build. "She's wonderful," Ava said quietly. "Yeah, she is. Thank you for sharing her with me. Thank you for being you." They stopped at his car. Sophie was already inside, headphones on, deliberately giving them space. "Liam," Ava started, then paused. "This thing we're doing. I know we haven't defined it, haven't put labels on it, but I need you to know I'm not going anywhere, not unless you want me to." His throat felt tight. "I don't want you to." "Good, because I'm invested now, in you, in Sophie, in whatever this becomes." She kissed his cheek, brief, warm, then walked to her car. Liam stood there, watching her drive away, feeling like he'd just crossed some invisible line he couldn't uncross. Inside his car, Sophie pulled off her headphones. "So," she said, "that's Ava. That's Ava. She's cool." "Yeah?" "Yeah, different than I expected, more normal, less scary billionaire, more just person." "She is just a person. A person who really likes you." Liam started the car. "How can you tell?" "The way she looked at you when you weren't looking, like you were the most interesting thing in the room." Sophie buckled her seatbelt. "Also, she laughed at your jokes, and they weren't even funny. My jokes are hilarious. They're dad jokes. There's a difference." They drove home through the darkening evening, and Liam felt something shift in the car, in his life, in the careful structure he'd built around his heart. Sophie was right. Ava liked him, really liked him. And terrifying as it was, he liked her back. The question was what to do about it. The answer came 3 weeks later on a Tuesday that started ordinary and ended with Liam standing in his kitchen at midnight, staring at his phone like it held all the answers he'd been avoiding. It started with Sophie getting sick. Nothing serious, just a fever and a cough that kept her home from school. Liam worked from his laptop at her bedside, bringing soup and checking temperatures and doing the things single parents do when the world doesn't stop just because your kid feels terrible. Around noon, his phone buzzed. "Ava. How's the patient?" "Milking it for all it's worth. Currently demanding her third popsicle." "Smart kid. How are you holding up?" "Fine, used to this." There was a pause, then, "Want company? I can bring real food, something that isn't from a can." Liam looked at Sophie, half asleep under 3 blankets, her favorite stuffed elephant tucked under her arm. Then at his living room, cluttered with work papers and dirty dishes, and all the evidence of a life lived without time for pretense. "It's a mess here," he typed. "I don't care about mess. Sophie's contagious. I have an excellent immune system. Ava, I want to help, Liam. Let me help." He stared at those words. Let me help. 4 simple words that felt like stepping off a cliff. "Okay," he typed finally. "But don't say I didn't warn you." She arrived an hour later with bags from a Thai place Liam had never heard of. Knocked softly, let herself in when he called out. She took one look at the chaos, Dishes in the sink, laundry on the couch, his work spread across the coffee table, and didn't flinch. "Where do you want me?" she asked, setting down the food. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. Where do you want me?" Liam gestured helplessly at the kitchen. "I haven't done dishes in 2 days." "Perfect. I'll start there." And she did. Rolled up her sleeves and started washing while Liam brought Sophie her medicine. When he came back down, Ava had made significant progress, moving through his kitchen with efficient precision. "You don't have to do this," he said again. "Stop saying that." She rinsed a plate, set it in the drying rack. "I want to be here. I want to do this. Stop trying to talk me out of it. I'm not used to people helping." "I noticed." She turned to face him, hands dripping soap. "You've spent 9 years doing everything alone. I get it, but you don't have to anymore. Not if you don't want to." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning neither of them had voiced yet. Sophie called from upstairs. Liam went, grateful for the interruption. When he came back, the kitchen was clean and Ava was unpacking the Thai food. "She wants to say hi," Liam said, "but I told her you're busy." "I'm never too busy for Sophie." Ava wiped her hands on a towel. "Can I go up?" "Yeah, just don't let her talk you into anything. She's really good at that when she's sick." Ava smiled. "I'll be strong." She went upstairs. Liam stayed in the kitchen, listening to the muffled sounds of conversation, Sophie's laugh, Ava's responding chuckle. Something in his chest pulled tight. This was his life, his home, his daughter. And Ava was in it, fitting into spaces he didn't know were empty. He set the table. 2 plates, utensils. Trying to remember the last time he'd eaten a meal with another adult that wasn't a business lunch or coffee with Marcus. Couldn't. Ava came back down 20 minutes later. "She's asleep. I read her part of that book on her nightstand. Something about dragons and a girl who doesn't take anyone's crap. That's her favorite right now. I can see why. The protagonist reminds me of her." They sat, ate in comfortable silence. The food was good, better than good, and Liam realized how long it had been since he'd eaten anything that didn't come from a box or a drive-thru. "Thank you," he said finally, "for coming, for helping, for all of it. You keep thanking me like I'm doing charity work." Ava set down her fork. "I'm here because I want to be here, Liam. Because this..." She gestured around the kitchen. "This is real. Your life is real. And I'm tired of everything in my life being transactions and board meetings and people who want something from me. I don't want anything from you." "I know. That's the point." They cleaned up together after dinner. Ava insisted on staying until Sophie woke up, wanted to make sure she didn't need anything. So they moved to the living room, Liam clearing space on the couch, both of them sitting with careful distance between them. The afternoon bled into evening. They talked. About nothing. About everything. Ava told him about a deal that had fallen through, the frustration of people who didn't follow through on promises. Liam told her about a project where the architect had designed something physically impossible and refused to admit it. "Do you ever want to do something else?" Ava asked. "Different work?" "Sometimes, but this pays well. It's stable. I can do it from home, be here when Sophie needs me. But does it make you happy?" Liam considered that. "I don't think happiness is really the metric I use anymore." "What metric do you use?" "Safety, stability, making sure Sophie has what she needs." "And what about what you need?" There it was again, that question no one asked, that he didn't know how to answer. "I need her to be okay," he said quietly. "Everything else is secondary." Ava shifted closer, just slightly. "What if you could have both? What if you could take care of her and take care of yourself?" That's not how it works when you're a single parent. There's not enough time, not enough energy. You choose. You chose her. Every time, without question. And you don't regret it? Never. Ava looked at him with something soft in her eyes. "You're a good father, Liam. I hope you know that." His throat felt tight. "I'm doing my best." "It shows." Sophie called from upstairs. Not urgent, just wanting water. Liam stood, but Ava touched his arm. I'll get it. You've been up and down all day. She went before he could argue. Liam sat alone in his living room, listening to the old house settle around him, and felt something crack open in his chest. This feeling, whatever it wasn't going away. It was getting stronger, deeper, more impossible to ignore. He was falling for her. Maybe had already fallen. The realization should have terrified him. Instead, it felt like relief. Ava came back down, settled next to him on the couch, closer this time, close enough that Liam could feel her warmth. She's out again, Ava said softly. Poor kid. She really feels terrible. Yeah, but she'll bounce back, she always does. They sat in the dimming light, neither moving. Outside, the street was quiet. Inside, the house felt smaller, more intimate. Liam, Ava said finally, can I ask you something? Sure. What are we doing? His heart rate picked up. What do you mean? This, us. We've been dancing around it for weeks, meeting for coffee, texting. I've met your daughter. I'm sitting in your living room while she's sick upstairs, but we haven't talked about what any of it means. Liam looked at her. I don't know what it means. Do you want to know? I'm scared to know. Why? Because... He stopped, started again. Because the last time I let myself want something, it fell apart. My marriage, my wife. She looked at me one day and decided this wasn't what she signed up for. Being married to someone ordinary, raising a baby, living a normal life. She wanted more. I wasn't enough. Liam, and I get it, I do. I'm not exciting, I'm not ambitious. I work from home and raise my kid, and that's it. That's my whole life. So yeah, I'm scared because he gestured at her. You're you. And eventually you're going to realize this is boring, that I'm boring, and I can handle that for myself. But Sophie's already attached to you. And if this doesn't work, it's going to hurt her too. Ava was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was steady. Can I tell you what I see when I look at you? Liam didn't answer. I see someone who shows up every day for the people who matter. Someone who doesn't make excuses or look for shortcuts. Someone who built a life around protecting his daughter and somehow raised an incredible kid in the process. She shifted to face him fully. You think you're ordinary, but ordinary people don't do what you've done. Ordinary people give up. They get bitter. They phone it in. You didn't. You chose to be present, to be engaged, to keep trying even when everything told you it wasn't worth it. That's just survival. No, survival is doing the minimum. You did more than that. You built something real. Liam felt his defenses crumbling. What do you want from me, Ava? Honestly? She reached for his hand. I want to see what happens if we stop being careful. If we stop protecting ourselves and just try. Try what? This, us, actually being together instead of dancing around it. His hand in hers felt right, natural, terrifying. What if it doesn't work? He asked. Then it doesn't work. But what if it does? I have a kid. I can't just... There are rules, boundaries. I can't bring someone into her life unless I'm sure. Are you sure about me? The question hung between them. Liam thought about the past 2 months, the coffee dates and runs and texts, the way Ava listened when he talked, the way she'd shown up today without being asked, the way Sophie lit up around her. Yeah, he said quietly. I'm sure about you. Then what are we waiting for? I don't know. Ava squeezed his hand. I'm not her, your ex-wife. I'm not going to wake up one day and decide this isn't enough. I know what I want. I've spent 7 years chasing success and realizing it didn't fill the holes I thought it would. This, she gestured around the room, your messy kitchen and sick kid and ordinary life. This is what I want. You're what I want. Liam looked at her, really looked, saw the honesty in her eyes, the vulnerability she was offering. I'm not good at this, he said. Relationships, being open, trusting people. Neither am I. We can be terrible at it together. Despite everything, he smiled. That's your pitch? It's honest. Yeah, it is. They sat there, hands connected, the house quiet around them. Liam felt the weight of 9 years of careful control starting to lift. Not disappearing, it would never fully disappear, but lightening, making room for something new. Okay, he said finally. Okay? Let's try. Let's stop dancing around it and actually do this. Ava's smile was brilliant. Yeah? Yeah, but we go slow, for Sophie's sake. We don't rush into anything. We figure it out as we go. I can do slow. And we're honest. If something doesn't feel right, we say it. No games. Deal. And if it doesn't work, if we realize we're not compatible or whatever, we handle it like adults. No drama. No blaming. Liam? What? Stop planning for it to fail and just let it happen. He laughed, surprising himself. I'll try. Good enough. Ava leaned in slowly, giving him time to pull back. He didn't. Her lips met his, soft, careful, questioning. Liam kissed her back, feeling 10 years of walls crack and crumble. When they pulled apart, both breathing slightly faster, Ava was smiling. So, she said, we're doing this. Apparently. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, both. Same. Sophie called from upstairs again, weaker this time, half asleep. Liam stood, but the moment felt different now. Not interrupted, just paused. I should check on her, he said. Go, I'll be here. He went upstairs, found Sophie tangled in blankets, feverish and confused, helped her drink water, adjusted her pillows, felt her forehead. Still warm, but not dangerously so. Is Ava still here? Sophie mumbled. Yeah, downstairs. Good, I like her being here. Me too, kiddo. Dad? Yeah? Are you happy? The question caught him off guard. Why do you ask? Because you look different lately, less tired, like something good happened. Liam brushed hair from her forehead. Something good is happening. Yeah. With Ava? With Ava. Sophie smiled, eyes already closing. Good. She makes you less gray. Where'd you get that from? But she was already asleep. Liam went back downstairs. Ava had moved to the kitchen, was making tea without asking. She looked up when he entered, eyebrow raised in question. She's okay. Just needed water and reassurance. And what about you? What do you need? Liam crossed to her, wrapped his arms around her waist. She fit against him perfectly. This, he said quietly. I need this. They stood in his kitchen, holding each other, while the tea kettle heated and the house settled into night. It wasn't dramatic, wasn't some grand romantic gesture, just two people choosing to stop being alone. Ava left around 10, after Sophie had slept for hours and Liam had checked on her 3 more times. They stood at the door, neither wanting to let go. Thank you for today, Liam said. Stop thanking me. Can't help it. Try. She kissed him again, quick and sweet. I'll text you tomorrow. You better. He watched her drive away, then went back inside to his quiet house. It felt different now, less empty, like something had shifted in the foundation. His phone buzzed before he made it upstairs. Ava. Already miss you. Liam smiled, typed back. Same. Is this the part where we get disgustingly cute? Probably. I can live with that. Me too. He checked on Sophie one more time, still sleeping, fever down, then went to his own room, lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the day. His phone buzzed again. By the way, I'm falling for you. Thought you should know. Liam's chest tightened. He typed, Yeah, me too. Good, get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Why? Because now we have to figure out what being together actually looks like. Scared? Terrified. You? Same. Good, means it matters. They texted for another hour. Nothing important, just the kind of conversation that fills the space before sleep. Eventually, Ava said goodnight. Liam set his phone down, closed his eyes, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next few weeks were a study in adjustment. Liam and Ava figured out rhythms, when to see each other, when to give space, how to balance his life with hers. It wasn't smooth. Ava had meetings that ran late. Liam had parenting emergencies. They canceled plans, rescheduled, learned to be flexible. But they showed up, Both of them. Every time. Ava started coming over for dinner on Wednesdays. Nothing formal, just showing up with groceries and cooking with Sophie while Liam finished work. The house filled with different smells, different energy. Sophie taught Ava how to make her favorite pasta. Ava taught Sophie basic coding on her laptop. Liam watched them together and felt his world expanding. They told people. Marcus and Rachel first, who were unsurprised and thrilled. Sophie's school friends started hearing about Dad's girlfriend, which made Liam feel ancient and teenage simultaneously. Ava introduced him to her small circle of actual friends, not business contacts, who sized him up with protective eyes and eventually approved. It felt real, adult, like something that might actually last, which is when the fear set in. It happened gradually, small moments where Liam would catch himself waiting for the other shoe to drop. Ava would cancel plans for work, and he'd wonder if this was the beginning of her realizing how boring his life was. She'd mention a business trip, and he'd spiral into scenarios where she met someone more exciting, more compatible, more everything. He kept it to himself. Tried to manage it alone like he managed everything. But Ava noticed anyway. "You're doing it again, Mate," she said one Friday evening. They were at his place, Sophie at a sleepover, rare moment of privacy. "Doing what?" "Disappearing, pulling back." "I'm right here." "Physically, but mentally you've been somewhere else for days." She set down her wine. "Talk to me." "There's nothing to talk about." "Liam." He stood, paced to the window. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Inside, his thoughts were chaos. "I'm waiting," he said finally. "For what?" "For you to wake up and realize this isn't what you signed up for, that I'm not—" He stopped. "I can't give you the things other people could. Fancy dinners, spontaneous trips, late nights out. My life is structured around a 9-year-old schedule. It's boring, predictable, and eventually that's going to wear on you." Ava came to stand beside him. "Do you think I don't know what your life looks like? I've been here for months, Liam. I knew what I was getting into. You say that now. I'll say it tomorrow too, and next week, and next month." She turned him to face her. "I chose this. I chose you. Stop waiting for me to unchose it. People change their minds." "She really did a number on you, didn't she?" The observation stung because it was true. Liam struggled for words. "I need to know if this is real. If you're actually in this, or if you're going to realize one day that you settled." "Settled?" Ava's voice went sharp. "You think being with you is settling? Compared to what you could have? Yeah. Listen to me." She gripped his arms. "I've dated men who looked perfect on paper. Rich, successful, charming. You know what they wanted? A trophy. Someone to look good at event. Someone who wouldn't challenge them or need anything real from them. They wanted the idea of me, not the actual person. And I'm different because you see me. The actual me. Not my bank account or my company or my connections. You see the person who's lonely and scared and doesn't know how to turn off her brain at night. You see me and you stay anyway." Her eyes were fierce. "So don't tell me I'm settling. You're the least settling thing I've ever done." Liam felt something break open in his chest. "I don't know how to do this. How to trust it. You do it one day at a time. That's all anyone does. And when you get tired of one day at a time, then we'll deal with it. Together." She pulled him closer. "But I'm not tired yet. I'm not even close." He kissed her then, desperate and grateful and scared. She kissed back just as fiercely. When they pulled apart, Ava was smiling. "Better?" she asked. "Getting there. Good, because I need to tell you something." Liam's stomach dropped. "What?" "I'm going to Tokyo. 3 weeks. Major deal. I have to be there." And there it was, the beginning of the end. She'd go to Tokyo, meet someone more interesting, realize what she'd been missing. "Okay," he managed. "Okay." Ava tilted her head. "That's it? What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me you'll miss me, or ask to video call, or literally anything that isn't you immediately assuming this is over." Liam blinked. "You want me to ask to video call?" "Yes, you idiot! I want you to act like my boyfriend who's going to miss me while I'm gone, Not like someone waiting for me to leave so you can start your healing process. Despite everything, Liam laughed. Boyfriend? What else would I call you? I don't know. I didn't think we'd labeled it. Well, I'm labeling it. You're my boyfriend. I'm your girlfriend. We're doing this ridiculous thing where we care about each other and actually try to make it work. She poked his chest. So when I go to Tokyo, you're going to miss me, and you're going to call me, and you're going to believe that I'm coming back because I want to be here with you. I can try. That's all I ask. They spent the rest of the evening planning how to stay connected while she was gone. Video calls after Sophie went to bed, text updates throughout the day, small ways to bridge the distance. When Ava left that night, Liam stood at the door watching her car disappear, feeling something that resembled peace. He could do this. They could do this. Maybe. The 3 weeks Ava was gone tested everything. Time zones made calls difficult. Work kept both of them busy. But they tried. Messaged throughout the day. Video called when they could. Sophie sent Ava terrible selfies that made her laugh. Liam learned to sit with the anxiety instead of letting it consume him. Learned that missing someone didn't mean losing them. And when Ava came home, exhausted, jet-lagged, carrying gifts for Sophie, she came straight to his house. I'm back, she said when he opened the door. I can see that. Did you miss me? Maybe a little. Liar. She kissed him, and Liam felt everything click back into place. She'd left. She'd come back, just like she said she would. How was Tokyo? He asked. Productive, exhausting, lonely. She pulled back. I kept thinking about this. Coming home to you? Home? Yeah, this place, you and Sophie and your messy kitchen and your terrible coffee. This feels like home. Liam's throat felt tight. Yeah? Yeah. She smiled. So what do we do now? He thought about that question, about all the ways he could protect himself. Retreat. Keep things safe. Then thought about what Sophie had said weeks ago, about being less gray. We stay, he said quietly. We stay anyway. Ava's smile was brilliant. Good answer. Sophie came barreling down the stairs, throwing herself at Ava with the force of a small hurricane. Ava caught her, laughing, asking about school and friends and everything that had happened in 3 weeks. Liam watched them together in his living room, his daughter and his girlfriend, and felt something settle in his chest. This was his life now, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd protected himself into. This one, messy and complicated and real. And for the first time in 9 years, he wasn't just surviving it, he was living it. Living it meant navigating territory Liam had spent years avoiding. Weekends became something other than just him and Sophie against the world. Ava folded herself into their routine with surprising ease. Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday afternoon movies, the small rituals that made up a life. But it wasn't seamless. Couldn't be. The first real fight happened 6 weeks after Tokyo, on a Thursday evening that started normal and spiraled fast. Ava had suggested dinner at her place, a penthouse downtown that Liam had only seen in photos. Sophie was invited. It was supposed to be casual, just the 3 of them, but when they arrived, the space felt anything but casual. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that looked too expensive to sit on, art that probably cost more than Liam's annual salary hanging on walls. The kitchen alone was bigger than his entire downstairs. Sophie's eyes went wide. You live here? Sometimes, Ava said, setting down her keys. When I'm not at your place eating your dad's terrible cooking. Hey, Liam protested weakly. But he felt it too, the disconnect. This was Ava's world, glass and steel and a view that made you feel like you owned the city. His world was vinyl siding and a yard that needed mowing and neighbors who borrowed his tools. They didn't match. Dinner was good. Ava had ordered from somewhere fancy, the kind of place with small portions and names he couldn't pronounce. Sophie ate carefully, trying not to spill anything on the pristine furniture. Liam picked at his food, increasingly aware of how out of place he felt. After dinner, Sophie explored while Ava and Liam cleaned up. The kitchen had appliances he didn't recognize, probably cost more than his car. You're quiet, Ava observed, loading the dishwasher. Just tired? You're a terrible liar, Liam set down the plate he'd been holding. This place, it's too much? Different. Different bad? He looked around the kitchen, trying to find words for the discomfort sitting in his chest. How often are you here? Maybe 2 nights a week. I prefer your place. Because it's quaint? A novelty? Ava's hand stilled. What? Nothing. Forget it. Liam, what's going on? He shook his head, grabbed another plate, but Ava caught his wrist. Talk to me. I don't belong here, he said finally. Look at this place. Look at your life. And then look at mine. We're from different worlds, Ava. Eventually, that's going to matter. It hasn't mattered yet. Because we've been in my world, my house, my life, my level, but this, he gestured around, this is reality. This is who you actually are. Ava's expression hardened. Who I actually am. I'm the same person who sits in your messy kitchen and makes terrible pancakes with your daughter. This apartment is just a place I sleep sometimes. It's more than that. It's proof of everything you've built, everything you are. And you think that makes me incompatible with you? I think it makes me wonder what the hell you're doing slumming it with a guy who works from home and drives a 10-year-old Honda. The words came out harsher than he intended. Ava pulled back like he'd slapped her. Slumming it, she repeated quietly. That's what you think this is? Isn't it? No, Liam, it's not. Her voice was steady but cold. You want to know what this apartment is? It's lonely. I bought it 5 years ago because I thought it would make me happy. Thought the view and the space and the status would fill something. But every night I'm here alone, I hate it. The silence echoes. Nothing feels lived in. It's a monument to success, and it's completely empty. So you come to my place to feel normal? Like some kind of poverty tourist? Are you seriously that dense? Sophie appeared in the doorway, clutching the tablet Ava had let her use. Are you guys fighting? They both turned. Liam felt shame wash through him. No, sweetie, Ava said, voice gentling immediately. Just talking. Adults do that sometimes. It sounds like fighting. Sophie looked between them. Should I wait in another room? Yeah, Liam said. Give us a minute. Sophie left reluctantly. The silence she left behind was heavy. I should go, Liam said. Running. That's your solution? I'm not running. I'm giving us space before I say something I can't take back. Too late for that. Ava crossed her arms. You've already made it clear you think I'm playing house with you, that this is some phase I'm going through. That's not what I said. It's what you meant. She moved to the window, stared out at the city lights. Do you know what I see when I look at you, when I'm at your house? Liam didn't answer. I see someone who's built a real life, who has priorities that matter, who raised an incredible kid and didn't lose himself in the process. I see someone who knows what's actually important. She turned back to him. And you know what I see when I'm here? A reminder of everything I sacrificed to get it, every relationship I didn't have, every experience I missed, every normal moment I traded for another deal, another acquisition, another zero in my bank account. Ava, you think your life is small? It's not small, Liam. It's full. It's rich. It has meaning beyond quarterly reports and stock prices. And I want to be part of that because it's real in a way nothing in my life has ever been real. Liam felt something crack in his chest. I'm sorry. When I see all this, I remember that you have options. You could have anyone, and You're enough, Ava said firmly. When are you going to believe that? I'm working on it. Work faster. Despite everything, Liam almost smiled. Then his phone buzzed. Sophie texting from the other room. Can we go home? This place is weird. He showed Ava the message. She read it and laughed, sharp and a little broken. Your daughter has excellent instincts, she said. She usually does. They gathered Sophie, made awkward goodbyes, left the pristine apartment behind. In the elevator, Sophie looked up at him. Did you make her sad? Yeah, I think I did. You should fix that. I know. Like soon, not in 3 days after you've thought about it too much. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You're just slow at noticing. They drove home in silence. Liam put Sophie to bed, then sat in his kitchen with his phone, staring at Ava's contact. He typed, "I'm an idiot." The response came immediately. "Yes, I'm sorry for what I said, for making it about money and status when it was really about me being scared." Scared of what? Of not being enough. Of you waking up one day and realizing you settled for less than you deserved. A pause, then, "I'm scared too." Of what? That you'll never see yourself the way I see you. That you'll keep waiting for me to leave instead of believing I want to stay. Liam stared at those words, felt their weight. "I don't know how to stop waiting for it to fall apart," he typed. "You do it one day at a time. You show up. You trust that I'm showing up too. I can try. That's all I'm asking." They texted for another hour, working through the fight, finding ground again. It wasn't perfect. The insecurities didn't disappear. But they were talking, trying. That had to count for something. The next few months were a learning curve. Liam worked on his trust issues, actively, consciously. Ava worked on balancing her work with their relationship. They stumbled, had more fights, learned how to fight better. Sophie watched it all with the wisdom of someone far older than 9. "You know what I think?" she said one Saturday morning, watching Liam stress about Ava coming over. "What?" "I think you're making this harder than it needs to be." "How so?" "You love her. She loves you. That's the complicated part done. Everything else is just details." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" Liam couldn't answer that. Spring came. Sophie turned 10. Ava threw her a birthday party that was somehow both over the top and perfect. Rented out an entire arcade, invited Sophie's whole class, made sure every kid had the best time. Liam watched Ava coordinate it all with military precision and felt something shift. This woman who ran a billion-dollar company was using those same skills to make sure his daughter had a memorable birthday. That night, after the guests left and Sophie was crashed on the couch in a sugar coma, Ava and Liam cleaned up the chaos. "That was a lot," Liam said. "Too much?" "No, perfect. She had the best time." "Good." Ava stuffed wrapping paper into a trash bag. "I wanted to do something special for her." "You didn't have to go this hard." "I wanted to." She paused, bag in hand. "She's important to me, Liam. Not because she's your daughter, because she's Sophie, because she's funny and smart and kind, and I genuinely like being around her." "She feels the same about you." "Yeah, ma?" "Yeah, she told me last week that you're her favorite of my girlfriends." "I'm your only girlfriend." She specified that this includes all previous and hypothetical future girlfriends. Ava laughed. "I'll take it." They finished cleaning. Sophie stirred on the couch, half awake. "Is Ava staying over?" she mumbled. Liam and Ava exchanged glances. They'd been careful about that. Ava never stayed when Sophie was home, keeping boundaries clear. "Not tonight, sweetie," Ava said. "Why not? You're here all the time anyway." "It's complicated." "No, it's not. You and Dad are together. You should stay." Sophie sat up, rubbing her eyes. "I'm not a baby. I know what's happening, and I like when you're here in the mornings. You make better pancakes than Dad." "Hey," Liam protested. "It's true and you know it." Sophie looked at Ava seriously. "You should stay, if you want to." Ava looked at Liam. He saw the question in her eyes. "If you want to," he said quietly. "I want to." Sophie grinned. "Good. Now I'm going to bed for real. Today was awesome. Thanks, Ava." She hugged them both, then headed upstairs. Alone again, Liam and Ava stood in his living room, surrounded by birthday debris. "So," Ava said. "I'm staying. Looks like." "This is a big step." "Yeah." "You okay with it?" Liam thought about that, about what it meant. Ava becoming a more permanent fixture, the boundaries shifting, the relationship moving into new territory. "Yeah," he said finally. "I'm okay with it." That night, Ava stayed, slept in his bed, woke up to Sophie banging on the door asking for pancakes. They stumbled downstairs together, sleep-rumpled and domestic, and made breakfast as a unit. It felt normal, natural, right. Like maybe this was what family could look like. The months that followed established new patterns. Ava stayed over more frequently. Her stuff started appearing in Liam's house. A toothbrush in the bathroom, clothes in the closet, her favorite coffee in the cabinet. Nothing was official. They didn't talk about moving in together. But gradually, organically, she became part of the infrastructure of their lives. Sophie thrived with it. Having another adult around, someone who listened differently than Liam did, who brought different perspectives and experiences. They had their own relationship now, separate from Liam, built on shared jokes and coding lessons and terrible reality TV shows they watched together. Liam watched it happen with equal parts joy and terror. "You're doing it again, Marcus said one afternoon. They were having coffee, their monthly check-in that Marcus insisted on. "Doing what?" "Waiting for disaster." "I'm not... Lee, I've known you for 15 years. You get this look when things are going well, like you're bracing for impact." Liam stirred his coffee. "Things are going really well. And that scares you." "Yeah. Why?" "Because good things don't last, not for me." Marcus leaned back. "That's the divorce talking, not reality. My wife left me alone with a 6-month-old. That's pretty real." "That was one person, one relationship. It doesn't define all of them." "Doesn't it? What if I'm just fundamentally unlovable long-term? What if the initial attraction wears off and people realize I'm boring and stop?" Marcus's voice was firm. "Liam, you're not boring. You're steady. There's a difference. And Ava doesn't want exciting. She has exciting. She wants real. She wants you. For now. For now is all anyone has. You think Rachel and I have some guarantee? We don't. We wake up every day and choose each other. That's it. That's all relationships are." Liam absorbed that. "What if I mess it up?" "Then you apologize and try to fix it." "What if you don't mess it up and you waste all this time worrying about hypotheticals instead of enjoying what you have?" The question sat heavy. That night, Liam came home to find Ava and Sophie in the kitchen, cooking something that involved far too many ingredients and loud music. They were laughing, flour everywhere, completely in their own world. He stood in the doorway, watching. This was his life now, this chaos, this joy, this fullness. And he was still waiting for it to break. Ava noticed him, smiled. "Hey, you're home early. Meeting got canceled. Perfect timing. We're making lasagna from scratch." Sophie's idea. "It's going to be terrible," Sophie announced cheerfully, "but we're trying anyway." They pulled him into the chaos. Liam chopped vegetables, while Ava managed the sauce, and Sophie assembled layers with intense concentration. The kitchen became a disaster zone. Nothing went according to plan. The lasagna was, in fact, terrible. They ate it anyway, laughing about the parts that were burnt and the parts that were somehow still cold. Sophie declared it a learning experience. Ava said next time they'd just order pizza. Liam sat between them, feeling something loosen in his chest. This was it. This was what he'd been afraid to want. After Sophie went to bed, Liam and Ava cleaned the kitchen disaster. It took an hour. Neither complained. "Today was good," Ava said, scrubbing a particularly stubborn pot. "Even with the terrible lasagna?" "Especially with the terrible lasagna. Those are the moments that matter, you know? The imperfect ones where we're just here, together, trying." Liam set down the dish he'd been drying. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "What do you see when you look at your future? 5 years from now, 10 years? What does it look like?" Ava was quiet for a moment. "Honestly? Honestly. I see this, you and Sophie and whatever our life becomes. I see growing my company but not letting it consume me. I see Sunday mornings and terrible cooking experiments and the kind of ordinary that used to scare me but doesn't anymore." She turned to face him. "I see you, Liam. That's what I see. Even when it's hard, when I'm being difficult, especially then. Because you're worth the difficulty. We're worth it." Liam pulled her close. "I'm working on believing that." "I know. I can wait." They stood in his kitchen, holding each other, while water dripped from forgotten dishes and the house settled into night. Summer arrived. Sophie finished 4th grade. Ava took time off, and they went on a trip together. Nothing extravagant, just a week at a lake house Marcus knew about, swimming and hiking and long evenings on the porch watching the sunset. Sophie taught Ava to fish. Ava taught Sophie advanced chess strategies. Liam taught them both that he was terrible at both activities, and that was okay. One night, Sophie fell asleep early, worn out from the day. Liam and Ava sat on the dock, feet in the water, sharing a beer. "This is nice," Ava said. "Yeah. We should do this more often. Just stop. Be together without all the noise." "We should." Ava leaned against him. "I love you, you know." The words hung in the air. She'd said them before, weeks ago, casual and certain. But Liam still felt his breath catch every time. "I love you too," he said, and meant it, fully, without reservation. "I want to move in," Ava said suddenly. Liam's heart rate picked up. "What?" "With you, into your house. I want to stop keeping my stuff in two places and just be there. With you and Sophie. Officially." "That's a lot, I know. But I'm there every night anyway, and I don't want to keep pretending my apartment is home when it's not. You're home. That house is home." Liam stared out at the dark water. This was it. The moment he'd been both wanting and dreading. The point where things became real in a way he couldn't take back. "What about your place downtown?" he asked. "I'll keep it for when I need to work late or have early meetings. But I want to live with you. Actually, live together. And Sophie, this affects her too." "I know. We should ask her, make sure she's comfortable with it." "She'll say yes." "Probably, but we should still ask." Liam thought about his house, the small rooms, the outdated kitchen, the yard that needed constant work. Compared to Ava's penthouse, it was nothing, but she wanted to be there, with him. "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay? Yeah, let's do it. Move in. Make it official." Ava kissed him, slow and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "You're not going to panic about this later?" "Oh, I'm definitely going to panic about this later." "But you'll tell me when you do?" "I'll try." "Good enough." They told Sophie the next morning. She looked up from her cereal, processed the information, then grinned. "Does this mean Ava's coffee maker is moving to our house?" "Probably," Ava said. "Cool. That thing is way better than Dad's." "Everyone's a critic," Liam muttered. But he was smiling. Ava moved in over the course of 3 weeks. Not all at once, she kept the apartment like she said, but her life shifted to Liam's house. Their house now. She brought her good coffee maker. Her collection of books Liam would never read. Art that made the walls look less empty. The house changed, became fuller, more lived in. Sophie loved it. Having Ava there all the time, the stability of it. She started calling Ava's work calls mom's meetings, then immediately got embarrassed and corrected herself. Ava never corrected her. Liam noticed. Saw the way Ava's expression shifted when Sophie said it. The hope and fear mixed together. One night, after Sophie was asleep, he brought it up. "She called you Mom today." Ava looked up from her laptop. "I heard. How do you feel about that?" "Terrified, honored, both." She closed the laptop. "I don't want to overstep. She has a mother, even if she's not around. Her mother hasn't called in 6 years, hasn't sent a birthday card, hasn't asked how she's doing." Liam's voice was flat. "You've been more of a mother to Sophie in 6 months than her actual mother has been in 9 years. That doesn't mean I should replace her. You're not replacing anyone. You're just being here, being present. That's what matters." Ava was quiet. "What if I mess it up? I don't know how to be a parent. I'm learning as I go." "Welcome to the club. That's all any of us are doing. You make it look easy. It's not, but it's worth it." Ava smiled. "Yeah, it is." The weeks turned into months. Fall arrived again, bringing Sophie's first day of 5th grade and Ava's biggest product launch and Liam's 40th birthday that he tried to ignore. They settled into rhythms. Morning chaos and evening dinners and the million small moments that made up a shared life. It wasn't perfect. They still fought, still had bad days, still struggled with their individual issues. But they showed up. Every day. Both of them. And slowly, Liam stopped waiting for it to break. He started believing it might actually last. One Saturday evening, putting Sophie to bed, she looked up at him with those two perceptive eyes. Dad? Yeah? Are you happy? It was the same question she'd asked months ago, but this time Liam didn't hesitate. Yeah, kiddo, I'm happy. Good. You deserve to be happy. So do you. I am. This is good. Our family, the way it is now. Our family. The words sat warm in his chest. Yeah, he said softly. It is good. He kissed her forehead, turned off the light, and went downstairs to where Ava was reading on the couch, feet tucked under her, completely at home. She looked up when he entered. She down? Yeah, finally. Come here. He did, settled beside her, and she immediately curled into him. They sat in comfortable silence, her book forgotten, just being together. This was his life now, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd protected himself into building, but this one. Messy and complicated and real and full. And for the first time in 10 years, Liam wasn't just surviving it. He was living it, fully, completely, without fear. Without fear lasted exactly 6 months before reality tested it. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon in March. Liam was reviewing plans for a hospital renovation when his phone rang. Unknown number, which he normally ignored. Something made him answer. Is this Liam Carter? Yes. This is Rebecca Holloway. I'm calling about your ex-wife, Jennifer Carter. The name hit like cold water. Liam hadn't heard it spoken aloud in years. What about her? I'm her attorney. She's requested contact with her daughter. She'd like to arrange visitation. The room tilted. Liam gripped the edge of his desk. She hasn't contacted Sophie in 6 years. I understand, but she's in a better place now. She's been through treatment, has stable employment, and wants to be part of her daughter's life again. Treatment for what? A pause. I'm not at liberty to discuss my client's medical history, but she's requesting supervised visitation to start. We can arrange it through the court if necessary, but she hoped you'd be willing to discuss this reasonably. Liam's mind raced. Jennifer, the woman who'd looked at their 6-month-old daughter and said she couldn't do it anymore, who'd packed a bag and left without looking back, who'd missed birthdays and holidays and every single moment of Sophie growing up. I need to think about this, he managed. Of course. I'll email you the formal request. Please review it with your attorney. She hung up. Liam sat staring at his computer screen, seeing nothing. Ava found him there an hour later, still frozen. Hey, I thought we were doing dinner at... She stopped. What's wrong? He told her, watched her expression shift from confusion to understanding to something protective and fierce. What are you going to do? She asked. I don't know. She's Sophie's mother. Legally, she has rights, but Sophie doesn't even remember her. How do I explain this? Do you have to explain it? Can you just say no? Not without a court fight, and that gets expensive and messy, and Sophie finds out anyway. Liam stood, paced. 6 years, 6 years of nothing, and now she just shows up? What does she want? Visitation, supervised at first. And then what? Custody? The question hung heavy. Liam hadn't let himself think that far. I need to talk to a lawyer, he said. I know someone. Best family attorney in the state. I'll call her. Ava? Don't. Let me help. That night, Sophie noticed something was wrong. She'd gotten good at reading him, knew when his silences meant stress versus tiredness. What's up? She asked at dinner. Nothing, just work stuff. Dad, you're cutting your chicken into like 1,000,000 tiny pieces. That's not work stuff. That's serious stuff. Liam looked at Ava. She gave a small nod. Your call. He set down his fork. I got a call today, from a lawyer. Sophie's eyes widened. Are we in trouble? No, nothing like that. He took a breath. It was about your mother. The silence was immediate, complete. My mother? Sophie repeated slowly. The one who left? Yeah. What did she want? She wants to see you, meet you, spend time with you. Sophie stared at him. Why? I don't know. The lawyer said she's doing better, that she wants to be part of your life. after 6 years of not being part of my life. Yeah. Sophie pushed her plate away. Do I have to? No. Well, maybe. It's complicated legally, but I want to know what you want. I want to know why she left. The question was simple. The answer wasn't. I don't know, Liam admitted. She said she couldn't handle it, being a mother, being married. She said she needed to find herself. And did she find herself? I guess we're about to find out. Sophie looked at Ava. What do you think? Ava seemed surprised to be included. I think it's your choice, and whatever you decide, we support you. But what would you do? Ava considered carefully. I think I'd be curious, and angry, and scared, probably all at once. But I'd also wonder if people can change, if someone who made a mistake can fix it. Is leaving your baby a mistake you can fix? No one had an answer for that. Sophie excused herself, went to her room. Liam and Ava sat in the kitchen, the remains of dinner between them. This is going to get complicated, Liam said. Yeah, what if she wants custody? Shared custody. Then we fight, but let's not borrow trouble, one step at a time. The lawyer Ava recommended, Caroline Mitchell, was exactly what Liam needed. Direct, experienced, unsentimental. Here's the reality, Caroline said in their first meeting. Jennifer has parental rights unless they've been terminated. They haven't. She can petition for visitation. The court will likely grant it, especially if she's demonstrating stability. Even after 6 years? Courts favor reunification. They believe children benefit from relationships with both parents when possible. What about what Sophie wants? At 10, her wishes carry some weight, but she's not old enough to make the final decision. You are, or a judge is. Liam felt sick. So what do I do? You can agree to supervised visitation voluntarily, maintain control over the process. Or you can fight it, force her to petition the court, and lose that control. Some choice. It's the choice you have. Liam talked to Sophie. Really talked. Explained what the lawyer said, what their options were, what supervised visitation meant. You'd be there? Sophie asked. Me or Ava? Someone you trust, the whole time. And if I hate it, if she's terrible, then we stop. We fight for that. Sophie was quiet for a long time. Finally, okay, I'll try. Once. But if it's bad, we're done. The visitation was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon, 3 weeks away. Neutral location. A family services center with trained supervisors. 1 hour. Those 3 weeks were agony. Sophie got quiet, withdrawn. Her grades slipped. She had nightmares. Liam felt helpless watching her struggle with something he couldn't fix. Ava stepped up in ways that amazed him. Took Sophie for ice cream and let her talk. Helped with homework without pushing. Just stayed present and steady when everything else felt unstable. How do you know what to do? Liam asked one night after Sophie finally fell asleep. I don't. I'm making it up as I go. You're good at it. I love her. That helps. The words were casual. The weight behind them wasn't. She loves you too, Liam said. You know that, right? I hope so. She does. She told me. Said you're the best thing that's happened to our family. Ava's eyes got bright. She said that? Last week, when you were on that conference call. She said she was glad I met you. That you make everything better. I don't know about better. She does. I do. Ava kissed him, soft and grateful and a little desperate. We're going to get through this. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Saturday arrived too fast. Liam dressed Sophie carefully, let her choose her outfit. She picked jeans and her favorite hoodie, the one she'd stolen from him years ago, now almost too small but still her comfort item. You look good, he said. I look scared. That too. Ava drove. Liam sat in back with Sophie, holding her hand. She was shaking. What if I don't like her? Sophie whispered. Then you don't like her. That's okay. What if she doesn't like me? Impossible. You're incredible. Dad. Sophie, listen to me. Whatever happens in there, you're my daughter. You're Ava's. He glanced at Ava in the rear-view mirror. You're part of our family. Nothing changes that. The Family Services Center was beige and institutional. A receptionist checked them in, showed them to a waiting room. Liam's leg bounced. Sophie stayed pressed against his side. Ava sat across from them, steady and calm. Then the door opened. Jennifer looked different. Older, obviously. 10 years would do that. But also cleaner, more put together. Her hair was neat. Her clothes fit properly. She looked like someone who'd gotten their life together. She looked like a stranger. Sophie, she breathed. Sophie said nothing, pressed closer to Liam. I'm Jennifer, your mother. I know who you are. The supervisor, a kind-looking woman named Maria, gestured to the room. Why don't we all sit down? Sophie, you and your mom can talk at the table. Your dad and... She looked at Ava. Ava supplied. Ava will be right here in the observation area. You can see them the whole time. If you need anything, just say so. Sophie looked at Liam. He nodded. She stood on shaky legs, walked to the table. Liam and Ava moved to the observation area, a windowed space where they could see but not hear. Liam watched his daughter sit across from the woman who'd left her, watched Jennifer try to smile, watched Sophie's posture, closed and defensive. This is killing you, Ava said quietly. Yeah. Want to leave? We can pull her out right now. No, she needs to do this. Needs to know. Know what? Who her mother really is, so she can decide for herself. They watched in silence. Jennifer was talking, animated. Sophie was mostly still, occasionally responding. 30 minutes in, Sophie's shoulders relaxed slightly. 45 minutes? She almost smiled at something Jennifer said. The hour ended. Sophie stood immediately, walked straight to Liam. Can we go? Yeah, we can go. In the car, Sophie was quiet. They made it halfway home before she spoke. She seems nice. Liam's hands tightened on the wheel. Yeah? She apologized. Said she was sick when I was a baby, that she didn't know how to handle it and made bad choices. What do you think about that? I think saying sorry doesn't fix 6 years of nothing. No, it doesn't. But I think maybe she means it, the sorry part. Ava glanced back. What did you talk about? School, my friends. She wanted to know what I like. If I play sports, normal stuff. Sophie paused. She asked about you, Dad. If you were happy. If you dated anyone. What did you tell her? That you're with Ava. That we're a family now. How'd she take that? She said she was glad. That you deserved to be happy. They drove in silence. At home, Sophie went straight to her room. Liam and Ava stood in the kitchen, processing. That went better than expected, Ava said. Did it? She didn't melt down, didn't refuse to engage. She's handling it. For now. Liam's phone buzzed. Email from Caroline. Jennifer's attorney was requesting regular visitation, every other Saturday, supervised until further notice. She wants more, he said, showing Ava the email. What does Sophie want? I don't know yet. He went upstairs, knocked on Sophie's door, found her on her bed, hugging the old stuffed elephant. Hey. He sat beside her. How are you feeling? Confused, angry, sad, all of it. Yeah, that's fair. Do I have to see her again? She wants to, but you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Sophie picked at the elephant's ear. Part of me wants to know her. See if she's really different. And the other part? The other part thinks it's too late, that you don't get to leave and then just come back when it's convenient. Liam put his arm around her. Both those parts are right. How can they both be right? Because people are complicated. Feelings are complicated. There's no perfect answer here, Soph. You get to feel however you feel. What if I want to see her, but also hate her? Then you see her and hate her. That's allowed. Sophie leaned into him. What if she leaves again? There it was. The real fear. Then we deal with it, together, me and Ava. We're not going anywhere. Promise? Promise. They sat together until Sophie's breathing evened out. When Liam went back downstairs, Ava had tea waiting. She okay? As okay as she can be. And you? Liam sank onto the couch. I spent 10 years building a life without Jennifer, making sure Sophie was okay, making sure she didn't feel like something was missing. And in 1 hour, all that gets destabilized. It doesn't erase what you built. Doesn't it? What if Sophie decides she wants Jennifer in her life? What if they develop a relationship and suddenly, I'm not enough anymore? Liam, look at me. He did. You're her father. You're the one who's been there for every moment, every scraped knee, every bad day, every triumph. That doesn't change because Jennifer shows up. Sophie knows who was there. She knows who stayed. But what if... Stop. Stop borrowing trouble. Let this play out. See what happens. Don't write the ending before we're even halfway through. She was right. She was always right. The next few months were a study and adaptation. Sophie saw Jennifer every other Saturday. Sometimes it went well. Sometimes Sophie came home angry and confused. Always, Liam and Ava were there to process it with her. Jennifer was trying, genuinely trying. She sent birthday cards now, called on holidays. Asked about school. She was stable, employed, attending therapy. Everything she should have been 10 years ago. But she wasn't part of their lives. She was adjacent to them. A presence Sophie was learning to navigate. She wants overnight visits, Sophie said one evening at dinner, 4 months into the visitation schedule. Liam set down his fork. How do you feel about that? Scared, but also curious. She has an apartment now, says she fixed up a room for me. You don't have to decide right now. I know, but I think... Sophie paused. I think I want to try, just once. See what it's like. Liam looked at Ava. She gave a small nod. Your call. Okay, he said. We'll arrange it. The overnight visit was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Liam spent those 2 weeks vacillating between trust and panic. What if Jennifer relapsed? What if Sophie got hurt? What if this was a mistake? The night before, he helped Sophie pack. She chose her clothes carefully, packed her favorite books, her phone charger. You don't have to go see, Liam said for the 10th time. I know. If you get there and it feels wrong, call me. I'll come get you immediately. Dad, I know. You've said it like 100 times. I just want you to be safe. Sophie stopped packing, looked at him seriously. I am safe. You made me safe. You taught me to recognize when something's wrong, when to ask for help, when to leave. I know what to do. When had she become so wise? When did you get so grown up? He asked. I've always been grown up. You just got slow at noticing. Her standard response. But this time it felt different, true in a way it hadn't been before. The next morning, they drove Sophie to Jennifer's apartment. It was modest but clean. Jennifer met them outside, nervous and eager. I'll take good care of her, Jennifer promised. I know, Liam said, surprising himself by meaning it. Sophie hugged him tight. Love you, Dad. Love you too. Call if you need anything. I will. Then she was gone, walking into the building with Jennifer, and Liam was standing on the sidewalk, feeling like he'd just sent part of his heart into uncertain territory. Ava drove them home. The house felt empty without Sophie. Too quiet. Wrong. What do we do now? Liam asked. We trust her. We trust that we raised her to handle this. And if something goes wrong, then we handle it. Together. They made it through the evening, barely. Liam checked his phone obsessively. Around 8, Sophie texted a photo, her and Jennifer making pizza, both covered in flour, laughing. She's okay, Ava said, reading over his shoulder. For now. Stop. Let her have this. The next morning, they picked Sophie up. She was fine. More than fine. Tired, but happy. How was it? Liam asked once they were home. Good. Weird, but good. Sophie settled on the couch. We talked a lot. About why she left. About what happened. And? She said she had postpartum depression. Really bad. Said she didn't know how to ask for help, and it got worse and worse until she couldn't see any way out except leaving. Liam absorbed that. How do you feel about that? Sad for her, still angry, but also, I don't know, understanding a little, like it doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. That's very mature of you. I'm almost 11. I'm basically an adult. Despite everything, Liam smiled. Basically. Over the next few months, Sophie's relationship with Jennifer developed. Slowly, carefully, with plenty of bumps. But it was happening. Sophie was building a relationship with her mother on her own terms, and Liam was learning to let her. One evening in late October, almost a year since Jennifer had re-entered their lives, Liam found Sophie crying in her room. "What's wrong?" "Nothing, everything, I don't know." She wiped her eyes. "Jennifer wants me to call her mom." "How do you feel about that?" "I don't know, I have a mom, technically, but Ava's more of a mom than she's ever been. But I can't call Ava mom because that's weird. And Jennifer is trying, but she's not really my mom either because she wasn't here." Sophie looked up at him, desperate. "How do I have two moms but also no mom?" Liam sat beside her. "I think you get to define what mom means. Maybe Jennifer is mom. Maybe Ava is something else, something that doesn't have a name yet but is just as important. Maybe you call them both by their names, and that's okay too." "What if I hurt their feelings?" "Then you talk about it. Be honest. They're both adults. They can handle it." "Can they, though? Adults are kind of a mess." "Very true." Sophie leaned against him. "I love Ava." "I know. Like really love her. Like family love her." "She loves you too. And I think I might love Jennifer, eventually, if she keeps being consistent." "That's okay. You can love them both differently." "It feels complicated." "It is complicated, but that's okay. Families are complicated." That conversation stayed with Liam. That night, after Sophie was asleep, he and Ava sat on the back porch, watching the stars. "Sophie's struggling with the mom thing," he said. "I heard. She loves you. You know that, right?" "I know. I love her too. She wants to call you something, but mom feels weird because Jennifer." "I don't need a title, Liam. I just need to be here." "But what if we made it official?" Ava turned to him. "What are you saying?" Liam hadn't planned this, didn't have a ring or a speech, but suddenly he knew. "I'm saying I want you to be my wife, Sophie's, whatever we call it. Official mom, stepmom, whatever. I want us to be a family on paper, not just in practice." "Liam Carter, are you proposing to me on your back porch without a ring?" "Apparently. That's very on brand for you." "Is that a yes?" Ava kissed him. "It's a yes." They told Sophie the next morning. She stared at them, processing. "You're getting married?" "If that's okay with you," Ava said carefully. Sophie considered, then, "Does this mean I have to call you Mom?" "No. You can call me Ava, or Hey You, or whatever feels right." "What if I want to call you Mom sometimes, like when I'm introducing you to people?" "Then that's okay too. And Jennifer's still my mom." "Yes?" Liam said. "You can have both. It's not a competition." Sophie smiled, real and bright and relieved. "Okay, then yes, you should totally get married. Can I help plan the wedding?" "Absolutely," Ava said. "Cool. I have ideas, so many ideas." She ran off to start a list, leaving Liam and Ava alone in the kitchen. "That went well," Ava said. "Shockingly well." "Think she meant it, about being okay with this?" "Yeah, I think she did." They got married 6 months later. Small ceremony, close friends, Sophie as maid of honor. Marcus officiated, made jokes that were only slightly embarrassing. Jennifer was invited, Sophie's idea, and came, stayed quietly in the back, cried during the vows. It wasn't perfect. Sophie still struggled with having two maternal figures. Jennifer still had bad days where her mental health wobbled. Ava and Liam still fought about money and time management and whose turn it was to deal with the dishwasher. But they showed up. All of them. Every day. The real moment came a year later. Another wedding, a colleague of Ava's. The invitation specified +1s. Ava asked if Liam wanted to go. "Sure," he said. "Why not?" "Last time you went to a wedding, you planned your escape route before you even sat down." That was a long time ago. 2 years. Feels longer." They got ready together. Liam in a suit, Ava in a dress that made him forget how to speak. Sophie was at Jennifer's for the weekend, giving them rare time alone. The venue was different, but the vibe was the same. Elegant, expensive, full of people who looked comfortable being celebrated. They found their table assignment. Table 8. Middle of the room. No escape route. "You okay?" Ava asked, watching him scan the layout. "Yeah. Actually, yeah." "No planning how to leave early?" "I mean, we can leave whenever, but I'm not planning it." Ava smiled. "Look at you, growing." "Don't push it." The wedding was nice, and standard vows, emotional speeches, good food. Liam watched it all without the hollow ache that used to accompany these events. This wasn't about what he'd lost anymore. It was just a wedding. People getting married. That was allowed to be nice without threatening his own life. During dinner, Ava leaned over. "What are you thinking about? How different this feels." "Then what?" "Then Marcus's wedding, when I was counting minutes until I could leave." "What's different?" "Everything. Me, you, how I see the world." He took her hand. "I'm not surviving anymore. I'm living." "Took you long enough to figure that out." Some of us are slow learners. The dancing started. The DJ played something upbeat, pulled couples onto the floor. Ava stood, extended her hand. "Come on, let's be terrible together." "You remember that first dance? How awkward it was?" "I remember you stepped on my feet 3 times. I was nervous. You were terrified." "Same thing." They moved to the dance floor, found their rhythm, still not great, still slightly offbeat, but together. Around them, other couples spun and swayed. The music was too loud, the lights were too bright. Everything was excessive and wonderful. Liam pulled Ava closer. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not letting me stay invisible." "You were never invisible. You just thought you were." "Same thing. Not even close." The song changed, something slower. The floor cleared a bit, leaving just the couples who wanted to be close. "Liam," Ava said quietly, "look around. Where are we?" He did. Middle of the dance floor, center of the room, fully visible. "We're right in the middle of everything," he said. "And how do you feel?" He thought about that. About the man who'd walked into Marcus's wedding 2 years ago, planning to disappear. About the careful walls he'd built, the life he'd controlled into something safe and small. About the woman who'd sat across from him and refused to let him hide. "I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be," he said. Ava kissed him, soft and certain. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. "Good answer." They danced until the song ended. Then another started and they stayed. No checking the time. No planning exits. Just present. Just there. Later, walking to their car through the cool night air, Ava laced her fingers through his. "So," she said, "we did it." "Did what?" "Went to a wedding, had a good time, acted like normal people." "I don't know if we'll ever be normal people." "Probably not, but we're us people. That's better." They drove home through quiet streets. The house was empty when they arrived, Sophie still gone until tomorrow. Usually, Liam hated when the house was empty. Tonight, it felt peaceful. "You know what I was thinking during the ceremony?" Ava asked, settling on the couch. "What?" "That 2 years ago you walked into a wedding alone, sat at the back, planned to disappear. I remember. And now here you are, married, raising a daughter with 2 mothers who actually talk to each other. Running a life that's messy and complicated and absolutely nothing like what you planned. And you're happy, actually happy. Not just surviving, not just going through the motions, actually living." Liam sat beside her. "I am." "How'd that happen?" "You showed up, you stayed, you refused to let me hide. You did the work, Liam. I just pointed out that it was possible. We did the work, both of us." "Fair." They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the neighborhood was dark and quiet. Inside, their house waited, filled with evidence of the life they'd built. Sophie's artwork on the fridge, Ava's work bag by the door, Liam's projects scattered across the coffee table. The comfortable chaos of people actually living. "Can I tell you something?" Liam asked. "Always." That night at Marcus's wedding, when you told me to look at you. I remember. That changed everything. That moment, you seen me when I was trying so hard to be invisible. You needed to be seen. I needed to believe I was worth seeing. And now? Liam pulled her closer. Now I know I am. Not because I'm perfect, not because I have it all together, but because I show up. For Sophie, for you, for the life we're building. That's worth something. It's worth everything. Yeah, it is. His phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. Having fun with Mom. She says hi. Love you guys. Liam showed Ava the message. They both smiled. She's doing okay, Ava said. Better than okay? She's figuring it out. Think she'll be okay, long term, with all this complexity? I think she'll be better than okay. She's got 2 parents who love her, 2 mothers who are trying their best, a family that shows up even when it's hard. Liam paused. That's more than a lot of kids get, more than I had. More than I had too. They sat together, watching the night through their front window. Tomorrow, Sophie would come home full of stories about her weekend. Life would resume its normal chaos. But tonight, this moment was theirs. You know what the difference is? Liam asked. Between 2 years ago and now? What? 2 years ago, I walked into that wedding planning to disappear, planning to survive the night and get home and go back to my small, safe life. And now? Now I choose to be seen, every day. I choose this. He gestured around their living room, the mess and the complexity and the uncertainty. I choose you, I choose Sophie, I choose all of it. No regrets? None. Not even the terrible pancakes? Especially the terrible pancakes, Ava laughed. We should probably work on those. Probably, but not tonight. No, not tonight. They stayed like that until sleep pulled at them. 2 people who'd found each other in the middle of trying to disappear. 2 people who'd chosen to stay visible, to stay present, to keep showing up even when it was hard. Because that's what love was. Not the fairy tale version from movies and wedding vows, but the real version. The one that required work and honesty and the willingness to be seen, flaws and all. The version that said, I see you, I choose you, I'm staying. And sometimes, Liam thought as he drifted off to sleep with Ava in his arms, sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was everything. Somewhere in the city, a wedding was ending. People were making promises they hoped to keep, building futures on hope and luck and the fragile belief that love could last. And in a small house on a quiet street, 3 people, soon to be together again, had proven that it could. Not perfectly, not smoothly, but truly. Liam Carter had walked into a wedding 2 years ago planning to disappear. He'd sat at table 12 as far from attention as he could get. He'd counted the minutes until he could leave. And then Ava Sinclair had sat across from him and said, "Look at me." So he did. And everything changed. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily, certainly. He'd learned that being seen wasn't dangerous. That opening up didn't mean breaking. That choosing to stay could be the bravest thing you ever did. He'd learned that families came in all shapes. That mothers could be complicated. That daughters could be wise. That love could be messy and imperfect and absolutely worth it. Most importantly, he'd learned that he deserved to be happy. Not just surviving, not just going through the motions, actually, genuinely happy. And now, 2 years later, returning to another wedding, he didn't need table 12 anymore, didn't need the escape routes or the careful distance, because he'd stopped running from his own life. He'd stopped disappearing. And in choosing to be visible, choosing to be present, to be vulnerable, to be real, he'd found something he didn't know he needed. He'd found home. Not in a place, not in a perfect life, but in the people who saw him and stayed anyway, in the daughter who challenged him to be better, in the woman who refused to let him hide, in the choice to show up every day, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. That was the lesson. That was the point. Not that life would be perfect, not that problems would disappear, not that love fixed everything, but that showing up mattered, being present mattered, choosing connection over protection mattered. And sometimes, just sometimes, when you stopped planning your escape and started living your life, you found that the thing you'd been running from was exactly what you needed. Liam Carter walked into a wedding planning to disappear. He walked out choosing to be seen, and that made all the difference.